Hey, what's up? It's Craig and the Catskills, and today I'm with the Valley Girls.
Hello, and welcome to Valley Girls, the bi-weekly podcast exploring everything there is to see, do, try, eat, and experience in New York's Hudson Valley by talking to the makers, the doers, the growers, the creators, and all the unique voices of the Hudson Valley. I'm Jenny Leifer.
And I'm Jennifer Santiago. And together as the Valley Girls, we're telling the Hudson Valley story one episode at a time. We're so happy you're here. Welcome to our second episode of the second season of Valley Girls. Today we are talking to Craig Muse Miller, but you might know him by his Instagram handle, Craig in the Catskills. Craig is a licensed real estate broker and shares the most delightful videos, posts, and polls on his Instagram, and we're going to talk all about that and much more coming up. Hi, Craig.
Hello, how are you all doing today?
Happy to talk to you.
How are you doing today?
I am very well. A little bit sleepy because we had a birthday weekend. It was filled from like 4 states. But I'm excited to be here with you. But it was wonderful. But it's a good tired.
Good.
So, yes, I'm
good. We're so
to
happy to have you here. Yeah. So you're originally from Georgia, correct? Spent a number of years down in the city. How did you end up in the Catskills?
Yes, I'm really from Atlanta, moved to New York City, left for a minute, moved to Korea because I need to find myself. But I really missed New York and moved back. And then I really wanted to buy a house, and New York City home prices are insane. So I convinced my husband. I was like, first we just kept going north, and we were like, okay, an hour away, an hour and a half away, and we just kept going north. And it was one day I found this town, Cairo, and I was like, wait a minute, this town looks kind of cute and it's really affordable, and everything else around it is expensive. So I had to go see it. And we weren't supposed to live in our house. We were supposed to just Airbnb it. But things like our landlord increased our rent for the first time in like 8 years. And my husband's job could be fully remote. So we said, okay, let's just try it. I was kicking and screaming. It was not the plan. But yeah, we're here, and I'm very excited that we did make that change.
That's funny because it reminds me of other stories that people have shared on the podcast. It reminds me of Robert Burke Warren and Holly being like, we did not want to leave the East Village, but we got priced out. Same thing with Sari Boughton.
Yeah, I was going to say same with Sari.
People just end up here, and then you're like, oh, okay, I think this is where I belong. However, right. you just blew my mind because so I'm from Dutchess County. Jenny lives in Ulster County. So there's lots of parts of the Catskills that I don't have a lot of familiarity with. And you just said Cairo, and I've been pronouncing it Cairo all this time. So I've learned something already.
The locals. And actually, so my dad's a dentist in Catskill, but when he's from Brooklyn. And when he first moved to the area, his offices were Catskill, Saugerties, and Cairo. And that's, so I grew up knowing about Cairo just because that was one of my dad's offices was in Cairo.
And that's a big distinction that you realize between like the locals that know and then everyone else. Because when I say it, people are like, wait, you mean like Cairo in Egypt? I'm like, no, Cairo in upstate
Cairo, New York. Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's very cool. No, it's beautiful up there. It really is. And it's a smart move too, right? Because Catskill is very expensive, especially now.
And it's changing every minute. And even in Cairo, it's changing in terms of pricing. The pricing is
right
because people are just excited about it. It's a beautiful region with wonderful homes. So I get it. That's why I'm here.
And now a word from our sponsor. It's me. I'm the sponsor. Have you heard of the Hudson Valley? Have you heard of reading? If you like both of those things, let me tell you about Literary Hudson Valley, a new YouTube interview series brought to you by us, the Valley Girls. We're talking all things bookish in the Hudson Valley. Readers, writers, fiction, nonfiction, indie bookshops, festivals. Head over to literaryhudsonvalley.com to check out interviews with Jana Brooke Wallach about her debut novel, Naked Girl, writer and artist Allison Gerton Marchese on some curious Hudson Valley history, and Candace Rivera, whose shop, The Book and Nook in Warwick, just celebrated its first anniversary. Lots more coming soon, including an interview with A.J. Schenkman about his new children's book, Franklin's Trees, and we'll even have a giveaway. So be sure to subscribe on YouTube and follow Literary Hudson Valley on Instagram so you never miss a thing. Happy reading!
So in your intro, Jen mentioned that you're a licensed real estate broker. And for real estate newbies, so what does that mean? I know there's a difference between a broker and an agent. You represent people selling and buying homes, but what is the main difference between a broker and an agent?
Great question, because people never know, and I didn't know either at first. So an agent, for example, has to work underneath a broker. So when you first get your license, you take the classes, you're a licensed real estate agent.
Right.
And to be an agent, you have to be basically sponsored by a managing broker, right? So after you do a certain number of transactions, take another course, then you can be a broker. And for example, I'm an associate broker, so I still work underneath a managing broker, but I could technically have my own brokerage firm if I wanted to. Maybe one day, not there yet, because I like the mentorship. And especially in a new area, it's good to work with someone who's been doing it. But I could have Craig and the Catskills real estate firm if I wanted to tomorrow.
It sounds exciting. That sounds
Right?
exciting.
One day.
One day you'll make it there. Do you have any tips for people who might be on the market for a home on how to find and work with a real estate broker?
So I really think the biggest thing, real estate is a very emotional process.
Yes.
And I think we kind of downplay it just with numbers and stuff, but I always tell people humans are behind real estate transactions. And when you think about real estate, right, it's usually an exciting thing. I got a new job, I'm moving to a new area, or it could be I'm getting a divorce and I had to sell my house, or, grandma passed away and we have to deal with that. So it's a very emotional thing. And I think a lot of times when you really focus on that part as an agent, you do a lot better job. So as a client, and this is what I tell my clients, look, you need to vibe with your agent. You need to trust them. You need to be able to talk to them because I might as well, we're therapists. And a lot of things that we talk to people about and hear about have nothing to do with real estate, right? So you need to be able to really be able to communicate and trust that agent. And if you don't trust that agent, don't work with them. And and my vibe is my vibe. And some people connect with me, some people may not. And that's okay. But my biggest thing is connect with someone that you really trust. It's an emotional process. You spend a lot of money.
Right. It's the biggest investment most people are ever going to make in their lives.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's a big deal. And even people who have bought houses all over the country, when they come to New York State has totally different processes than Georgia, where I'm from, or California.
Yeah. No, I love that though, because of course you want somebody who knows what they're doing and knows about real estate and all of that. But really, the bottom line is if you don't connect with that person, it doesn't matter how good they are at their job technically, right? But if you don't connect with that person, it's not going to be the best experience. So I do love that's your, approach and that's your perspective is the person, the connection, the person to person.
Yeah, because everything else will work out when you connect with someone.
Yeah,
and even with clients, like some clients that I really, really connect with, for example, my husband was my client. I'm just saying.
Aww.
I love that.
So yeah, it totally makes a difference.
That's so cute. No, I love that your approach is not just transactional. I love that you said therapist, because I feel like often people don't know how to say what they're looking for, or they say that they're looking for this, but then as you get to know them, you're going to say, I'm hearing you say this, but I'm also feeling like these are the choices that you're making. And what if we tried this instead? And so feeling like somebody is really an advisor and understanding that this is something, whether you live in your house or not, you're getting a 30-year mortgage unless you're one of the unicorns that can buy the house cash. So it's a big deal. So yeah, I don't necessarily want to marry my real estate broker, but I do want to feel like I want my real estate broker to become like my friend and come over once a year for a barbecue.
Right. To me, if you can't invite that person to your home, should you be working with them? That's how I feel about it.
Yes. I love that.
All right. So I am from Poughkeepsie originally. I currently live in Texas, but I am moving home to the Hudson Valley as soon as I can. So, yes. And will you be my broker?
Yes.
So Okay, how would you describe the real estate market in the Catskills region right now? And what kind of things would you tell me as your client that I need to start thinking about over the next 6 to 12 months?
Okay, first off, I would say we need to be ready for war. I'm joking, but it's very no, but it's very competitive. And I would just tell you, so I moved up here 2 years ago, and the amount of enthusiasm for the Catskills specifically. So the Hudson Valley, places like Dutchess County, Putnam County, it's a lot closer to New York City, right? Prices are higher there, have been higher there. But if we look at like the Catskills specifically, right now it's having a moment and it's very in vogue because you have all these new restaurants that are popping up. You have older resorts that are getting renovated. Everyone from Brooklyn wants a house in the Catskills for some reason. I don't know what's happening in
I
Brooklyn.
know, stop, go to Long
But
Island.
but what I would tell you is the first step, work with a broker that lives in the area like me. Like I live here full time because a
You're
lot of people
hired.
they live in New York City and they work sometimes upstate and they're not really hungry for your business. They know but they're weekenders. So it's different when you actually live somewhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I would also say that this is a very local market. And I stress this so much with my clients. Use a local lender, use a local attorney. It's great that, your dad played baseball with this person in high school and that attorney has been working for 30. Wonderful. But use someone that is local because it just makes the transaction flow so much smoother. These are very centralized markets where people work together so much. So, for example, when I have a transaction where my client uses a local attorney, a local bank, smooth sailing.
Yeah.
But then sometimes they'll say, "Oh, well, I have this attorney in Long Island, right? Great." And then they have to pay a fee for the closing because the attorney has to travel up here, or the attorney has never worked up here, and the social norms are so different
Oh, they
between
really are. Yes.
upstate and downstate, and different regions. So hyper localized people. And when you work with someone like me, I have a whole team of these
Yeah,
people.
I feel like that's the benefit of working with a broker because you're going to have a network of trusted partners. You're going to say, I know this attorney. She is on the ball. She gets her stuff done. She's super responsive. I know this lender. They're going to steer you right. They're going to take their time. So I feel like that's part of your package of services to be able to refer your buyers to other services that come from people and trust and rely on frequently.
And, it's already a stressful situation. So when you work with these people, they know what they're doing. They flow. They answer their phone. This is based off of experiences that we have because sometimes people just say, "Oh, well, the attorney, it doesn't mean anything." Yes, when your attorney doesn't answer their email for 2 days, it can make
2
your deal
days. That's nothing.
I know. Only 2 days. I would be
no,
psyched.
and it makes a huge difference. And even from once you buy your house, like for example, I'm in my sister's house in Catskills, a 200-year-old house that I was a site manager, and we worked to renovate it. So we have contract, we have plumber, electrician. I can tell you everything you need. I can send you a list.
That's so great.
Is that her wallpaper?
It is, which is a design trend that's coming back. Yes, it's
I
very
know wallpaper. Okay, we're gonna talk about real estate.
Yeah, we'll talk
in a
about
little
it.
bit. So let's put a pin in wallpaper because I'm very interested in that.
It's a trend that's coming back.
That's wild because I have spent a lot of time in my life taking off wallpaper from houses.
Yes, and now everyone is putting, and it's really hard to find people to do it well because it's like a lost art form.
Yeah. So one challenge for me, this is not going to turn into you counseling me on buying because when I'm ready, I really will engage your services. But one challenge for us is, first of all, we're probably looking for a multifamily property. And so I'm trying to figure out the logistics of moving 2 households from Texas to New York. It's a lot. And long distance can be stressful. So hopefully I'll be able to be in the region before I get serious about buying. However, your video content is so good that I feel like I have a really good sense of a lot of the homes that you're showing. So your Instagram is my favorite. because
Oh,
We
real
love
estate
it.
porn
thank
is
you.
awesome. But you have so many fun little things that you do. You do buy or buy, like BUY or BIE, nail or fail, love it or gut it. And you really highlight the uniqueness of all the homes in the regions. And I love when you do the polls, and I love when you talk about the history and the architectural styles. So, what are some of the things that you see in the Catskills in terms of the architectural styles, the history, things that really feel like it could only be in the Catskills or it just grew organically in the Catskills?
Thanks for it really means a lot to me that you like my Instagram
Oh,
because
we love
well,
it.
because it's something I was very anti social media for so long. And when I
Mm-hmm.
moved up here, I was like, okay, I really gotta just commit to it. And I said, I want to just make it what I would do and what I would like to look at.
Yep.
So it
Yeah.
makes me
Yes.
happy when
Yeah.
people really, because I'm not perfect. I mess up things. And my Instagram, I don't want it to be perfect. So, and I like that it can connect with people. So thank you.
Yeah.
I
Thank
would say in
you.
the Catskills specifically, what I've noticed and what my clients gravitate towards and the reason why they like it, the Catskills has a large amount of historic homes, like these beautiful farmhouses that have views and everything. So I would say that is, say, the Brooklyn dream is to get a
Yeah.
farmhouse. And in terms of things, kind of the trends that are changing, something that I'm really cool about right now is that and I think this is just what's going on in society. People are being focused more on nature
Mm-hmm.
and Zen and all of those things. So you're having all these passive homes pop up. So passive homes, they're homes that are sustainable. They usually have a smaller footprint. They're very energy efficient. And they are the focus when you go in it, they're not like super landscape with these manicured lawns and all that. It's like you drive up, it's minimalist, you have a view of the woods, you
Mm-hmm.
just feel at peace in them. And I feel that that's where the trend is going in this region with a lot of new homes. Everyone still wants a historic farmhouse, but it's only so many. Like it's very hard to build a new farmhouse, right? So you either have a historic farmhouse or you have these new passive homes. And people are just as excited about both of them. If you look at what clients are looking at, a passive home will get multiple offers. The historic farmhouse that has been renovated and updated with systems, multiple offers. That is like the Catskill,
Yeah.
just like you said, real estate porn, farmhouses, passive homes.
I even just love the term passive home. Like that just makes me feel so like
Yeah,
comforted
right?
and like
Yeah.
chill and zen. I love that.
So, okay, but real talk, which I know I can count on you for, there are downsides of being someplace that is fairly isolated. I mean, I want nature, I want vistas, I don't want to see any other homes, but that comes at a price too, not financially speaking. So when I said we're looking probably for a multifamily property, my mom grew up in Port Ewan, and she is dead set on having city water, city sewer. She's like, I'm not going to well water, I'm not going to a septic system. But I assume that's most of what you're seeing in these properties that we're talking about. And then also, do you know Matt Zucker? He has a podcast called City It.
I don't, but I need to find
Oh, we
Oh,
gotta introduce
we're
you to Matt,
connecting you
because
two.
yeah,
Yes.
he and his husband moved up from the city. They were weekenders, then they started coming up longer and longer, and then they were just like, I guess we live here now. And so his podcast City It is all about how not to be a city it, how not to be like the jerky big city guy. And
Yeah.
he talks a lot about services and all the things that you're used to when you, whether it's Atlanta or New York City, you're used to like a 24/7 vibe. And he's like, the coffee shop closes at 2. So when I'm
It may
staying
not
at
be
3
open.
o'clock, I
Yeah.
can't get a 3 p.m. coffee, and
Forget
things are
going out
closed
to
on
dinner
Mondays,
on Monday
Tuesdays.
night. Don't go out to
Right?
dinner on Monday
You're
night.
not.
Nothing's open.
Yeah. So in terms of houses and the region, what are some of those surprises or caveats that you would offer to buyers who are like, okay, this is Brooklyn North, but it's really not
But
in a
yeah.
lot of ways?
No, and that brings a good point because when we bought our house, we did have these conversations because a lot of our friends think that we live on a farm somewhere. We actually live on Main Street in our town. So, for example, we are hooked up to municipal water, municipal sewer. We don't have a front yard, it's right on the sidewalk. And that's the beauty of this region because mountains are behind our house. There's a huge park that we can walk to with creeks, waterfalls, views of mountains. And if we drive within 5 minutes, you're in the mountains. So the reason why I like this region so much is that there are charming towns that do have more of a Brooklyn vibe, say, but then you're so close to nature and everything. So if you say, "Oh, I don't want a septic tank," we can find you a house that does not have a septic tank. But I will say that is one of the biggest shocks. I literally had one of my colleagues who works in the city. He has some clients, and they want to build some land. And I told him about septic, the cost of developing that. And he's like, "Well, what do you mean? Like, what about the sewer?" And I said, "Yeah, no, there's no sewers in the middle of the country." And that's one of the big things because a lot of people, when they're looking, they have this idealistic view of living in the country, right? But I tell people, okay, are you working at home? Do you need to travel a lot? Are you okay with getting stuck in your house because the plow person has not come to plow your driveway? And those are the factors. And I'm not okay with that. So that's why I live on Main Street across the street from the city hall. My power never goes out. My street is always paved. I can get around because I have to be on the go, right? And there's a coffee shop on our street, there's a grocery store on our street. So for me, that was my lifestyle. And I tell people, and I have this conversation right when we start with the client. Okay, it sounds wonderful. You want to live in the middle of nowhere, right? But are you okay with being 30 minutes from the nearest grocery store? Some people are, some people aren't. So I have that conversation with people from the start. And then when we go, and some people, when they get to a house and their phone is not working, they're like, "Oh, no, I can't." And they keep it. So those are really important things. And that's what we go through. Those are the conversations that I have because it can be a shock to, if you've never heard of a septic system or well water, and now you're looking at it.
I'm going to assume you do not have the AT&T fiber high-speed internet that I have here at my house in the suburb of Houston, Texas.
I do not.
Well, but
I am
we're
spoiled.
getting like around Kingston area. There's archtop fiber is now like a very big thing, and there's a lot of communities that are already most of the city of Kingston. They're moving into the town of Ulster. My area, I live in Hurley. They're coming into us soon. They're going across the river. So there is archtop fiber is like the one around here, at least in Ulster County, and they're getting big. Like people are switching over
Yeah.
quickly to the
And
fiber.
they have to because so many people work. I mean, just like right now, we're on Zoom, right? So
Yeah.
people have to use internet. So the towns are updating, but there's still some towns where it's a lot harder. And those are the things that I really try to stress with my clients about what do you need? Because the beauty is there's something for everyone here. You can live right in the village of Catskill and have more things that you can walk to than some parts of the city. It just depends on what
Yeah.
you want.
But I love that you focus on that because the realities of living upstate, whether it's Catskills or, more mid Hudson Valley or whatever, they are very different, And like, for example, like not just my dad, my mom too, my parents both grew up in Brooklyn, right? So
Mhm.
my mom grew up coming up to the Catskills in the summers. That was their thing, right? That was like the typical thing to do
Right.
is you came to the Catskills in the summer, but it's very different coming here as a kid in the Catskills, growing up like that versus moving here as an adult with family. She says all the time, she's every now and then she loves it up here. My mom loves it up here.
Mhm.
But every now and then she's like, "Oh my God, put me back in Brooklyn with the sewer and the this and that." She says, All I've done is traded cockroaches for mice
Right.
And bears. Your
and
dad and
bears."
that bear are never going
Oh,
to stop battling.
we'll be back with lots more from Craig after we hear from our two newest Valley girls about the Capital District and Westchester.
Hello, and welcome to A Capital Idea with Rebecca Ash. This week we highlight live jazz at the Lark Street Tavern. I started frequenting Lark Tavern back in my college days in the 90s, and I was absolutely tickled when I moved back and found it even better than ever. Established in 1933, they've been serving up food, drink, and entertainment for decades to the delight of Capital District locals. The food is unfussy, with classic pub fare like chili cheese fries, tasty burgers, and an assortment of wings. And the new and improved Lark Tavern, renovated in 2022, truly has delighted me with a retro vintage atmosphere that speaks to my soul. Entering through the old-timey wooden front door, you'll find a well-appointed bar with comfortable stools and high-top tables, perfect for a happy hour with your friends. But it's the back room that really turns up the charm. The space is delightfully cozy with plush velvet settees arranged in nooks, making for the perfect cocktail lounge. What else could you ask for? Well, how about some hot jazz music brought to you by some of the best local musicians? Every Tuesday from 7 to 9, you can grab one or two of their signature cocktails and just soak up the scene. The musicians play on a small, discreet stage. It's tucked back in the corner, making it simultaneously unobtrusive and yet somehow the perfect focal point. It reminds me of some of my favorite spots in downtown Manhattan in all the best ways. And if jazz isn't your scene, weird but okay, they offer a variety of entertainment, from comedy to open mic nights, trivia to karaoke, or even just taking in a game or some old school music videos on their big screen TV with a pint. You're sure to find some fun at the Lark Street Tavern. Lark Street Tavern is located at 453 Madison Avenue in Albany.
Welcome back to the 4-in-1 of Westchester, where we get into the good stuff happening across Westchester County. I'm Danielle Davidson, owner of Main Street Business Strategies, and this week is for my golfers, lawn game enthusiasts, and good time havers, especially those who like to hang out outside and play hooky from work. On Monday, September 16th, head on out to the Sprain Lake Golf Course for the Rivertowns Chamber of Commerce's second annual Golf Open, honoring their partner charity Gigi's Playhouse, which is a Down Syndrome Achievement Center whose mission is to change how the world views Down syndrome. Come for the round of 18, the chance to win a $15,000 hole-in-one competition, which is freaking cool, and stay for the lawn games, good old-fashioned flip cup tournament, food, games, and prizes during the 19th hole cocktail reception starting at 5:30 p.m. Go to rivertownschamber.com and click on Golf Open to learn more and to purchase tickets. Registration is open until the morning of 9/16. Hopefully I'll see you there. I'll be there myself, and then head on back to the Valley Girls pod for the next 4-in-1 of Westchester.
So going back to something we were talking about before, because I too can't get my eyes off of that gorgeous wallpaper. So are there any design trends, obviously wallpaper, other than wallpaper, in addition to, that we should know about? Any, like, for that matter, like, do we even like trends? Do we want to do our own thing? What's your feeling about trends?
So I will say, me personally, I'm not very trendy because I like things that will never go out of style. Because I feel that we're told one thing is nice, and then a few years later it's not, and we have to change. I'm very frugal, so but things like wallpaper, I like them because it adds a bit of character. And as you can see, this wallpaper is really fun. And this is my sister's house. Shout out to her. She is one of my, well, she is probably my best friend that I think about it, and mentor and everything. She's very supportive. And she really went bold with her wallpaper. For example, when she first put it in, I was thinking like, whoa, this is a choice. But it's so fun and so amazing. So I really like it. But yeah, wallpaper is a big trend. And I will say in the kitchen, and I did a reel on this the other day, with the lack of upper cabinets, which is very challenging for me because I like hiding things. Because I feel like if it's just a place where you don't really use as a kitchen, perfect.
Yeah.
But in reality, it could be challenging. But
Right,
it's a huge
sure.
trend. People love it. And I think because it gives a clean look when you view a home, and that's a really important thing when you're trying to sell your house. When people come in and it looks clean and everything, because a lot of things that look great aren't practical for everyday use. The same as open concept homes. It's just a trend that keeps on trending for a while now. And they look great when you walk in, or you walk in and you see all this beautiful space. But sometimes you realize when you're hosting a lot of people or you have different people over, sometimes walls have meaning. Walls can be important. And I think back to the question, I think one of the biggest trends that we're moving towards, if you look at the cost of home construction, the prices have gone up so substantially that whereas in the US, houses were getting bigger and bigger, and now we're getting to a point where houses are going to have to get smaller. And it's actually a good thing because a lot of houses are way too big. And if you look at it from a design standpoint, I think we're kind of in a less is more phase where people are like, since the pandemic, people really look at like, okay, what am I doing with my life? What do I need in my life? How many things do I need? And that's and that's why things like these passive homes are really trending because when you look at the price point, you say, wait a minute, it's 1,000 square feet and it's like $1 million. That's kind of expensive. But if you look at the way they're designed and if you look at your utility bills and all of those things, it actually can save you money in the long run. And just that also leads into, because when your house is smaller, you don't need to fill up so many rooms with so many pieces and all of those things. So I like that trend because I'm really big about, like, for example, our house is less than 1,000 square feet up here.
Wow.
And I just realized, okay, what do I need? How many shirts can I wear? And it really helps me clear my mind personally. But I'm also a maximalist as well, so I do like a lot of things. But I would see that there's a trend of less is more, just all around.
So I what you said about not being trendy and having your space be practical and reflective of you, that resonates with me. So I feel like there's two ways to live your life at home, right? You can either jump on every design trend and your house can be aesthetic and Instagram perfect and look like somebody's Pinterest inspiration board, but it's not really working for you. And I'm not about that life. I want my house to be my house. Frankly, I don't care about trends. Listen, this is what I want. I want a big old Victorian.
I'm listening.
I want a library. I want a 2-story library with a rolling ladder. I want a benign library ghost. My aesthetic is very like dark academia, like a little bit goth, like a cabinet of curiosities. So yes, maximalist, yes, but most of my things are like bones and taxidermied butterflies. But yes.
That sounds so cool.
Witchy.
So, all right. But so I have been guilty of this too. I live how I live, but then when I need to move and sell a house, which I've done several times, then I go all in. It's clean, it's perfect, it's whatever. And then I'm like, I should have done some of this stuff before. So I was intrigued that you said where you and your husband live, you don't have a front yard, you're just right on the street, because I love homes like that because I'm super nosy and I love to wander around and look in people's windows from the street.
Oh, you can see right in our house.
Oh, I'm coming over. So you have some of your posts that I like the most are about curb appeal. So what are some of your best tips for curb appeal, whether or not we're looking to sell our homes, just to make our home beautiful and appealing in some place that we're proud of and some place that when people stroll by being nosy, we feel good about that?
Yeah. So, and this is so important to me in terms of like when you walk by, right? And it's the same with, say, a person. The house is a similar thing. When you walk down the street, some houses grab your attention. And it's not necessarily the nicest house or anything, but I tell people, plant some pretty flowers in front of your house. If you're going for a manicured look, manicure it. If you're going for a more natural look, great. But just whatever look you're going for, just own it and do it. Because you can tell what houses people care about, right? And the thing too, everyone has a different vibe. So some people, like I said, are more in the natural aesthetic. And for example, it's a house in Catskill right now where the town took the owner to court because she left it more natural. It's beautiful. It looks like a meadow with natural grass. It's not manicured, and it's a look.
Good for pollinators.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
I'm actually
beautiful.
starting one. Yeah, pollinator garden.
And she won her case, actually, which I'm excited about because every time I drive by the house, I stop and I look. Where someone might say, well, her house doesn't look like it's kept up. But when you look at it, no, it looks beautiful. And she went with that aesthetic and she owns it. And now she's probably going to be featured in a magazine. Mark my words. I tell you. So the biggest thing,
have her call us. We'll put her on the blog.
Yeah, no, seriously, it's really cool. I would just say the biggest thing is making it stand out. And when I say stand out, you can look, for example, on our house, we have a sign that says Catskill Mountains, right? And for example, I want to paint our house and so many things, but budget, all of that. So I said, all right, I know what I can do. We got a wooden sign made and it says like Catskill Mountains, and we put flowers up. And my neighbors are like, oh, your house looks so cute. the same house with the same paint that I want to change,
Mhm.
but I just added a
Mm.
little touch, made it, put some personality in it. And I
Mhm.
would say when people do that, it makes someone say, oh, this person cares about their home or they're living in their home. And whether you're selling it or not, people will feel happy walking past your house or seeing it.
All right. A little aside, Jenny's going to kill me and be like, really? We've talked about this all the time. So we have a special Halloween episode coming up this year, and I'm interviewing Brian J. Keno, who is he wrote the guide to the haunted history trail of New York State. So if you contact New York State Tourism, they send you this guide. He covers the whole state with places that have haunted history. Have you ever sold a haunted house?
I'm sure I have.
Just didn't know about it, right?
Well, and I mean,
I feel
because
like
the
that's
thing,
a selling point. If you told me it's haunted, I am all
Yeah,
about
you're
that.
kind of one in a million, though. You know that, right?
yeah,
I
I
don't
would
think
say
so.
a lot of clients, I would say from my experience, they are more afraid of that, or
Yeah.
I'm actually not
See?
afraid of that.
See,
And
Jen,
for
I'm the
example,
normal one. See, you hear
and
what
for
he just
example,
said?
there's
I'm
a
the normal
house
one.
right now in the village of Catskill right next to a cemetery, and I think it's cool because it's a historic, beautiful
Yes.
cemetery. It's been on the market for a little bit longer than I think it should have, though.
I
And
want it. I want it.
I'm wondering, is it because of the cemetery,
That's the quietest neighbors you're ever going to have.
right?
And guess
That's how I
what?
feel.
Ghosts do not hang out in the cemetery. If you were going to be a ghost, would you hang around your gravestone, or would you go back and haunt the people that you liked, or would you go cause some mayhem? The ghosts are
And
not
I
in
don't
the
have, and
cemetery.
I've never had beef with anyone who's not alive. So the people who are alive are the people I have issues with. So that's how I feel.
Listen, I'm all for a cool historic cemetery. That I love, like Old Dutch Church, Uptown Kingston. One of my favorite, just
I
chill
love
spots.
that church. I take pictures of it every time I go
Oh,
by.
every
That's
chance
on
I
the
get.
haunted history trail, by the way.
I know, and it's like it's a very cool place. The haunted part is the part that I have a little bit of issue with, but I do love a good cemetery.
All right. Aside from hauntings, though, and I swear this is the last woo-woo question I'll ask, do you think that houses have souls or a spirit? Like, we
I
talk
do.
about the vibe, and nobody thinks it's weird when I say vibe, but if I'm like, oh, the house is soul. So a lot of times in like witchy communities, people believe that you should greet your home and say goodbye to your home every time that you leave and enter. And so, I mean, do you get that feeling from properties that you have been in?
I do. And I'm someone who's a lot more in tune with energy
Mm.
and I feel it. And I also tell this to my clients because sometimes when people try to force things,
Yep.
it doesn't work out. And I tell people when you walk into the home that's for you, you'll know it.
Yes.
You'll feel it, it'll feel right. And that
And you
happens.
will
like
know when
home.
you don't. If you walk in
Yes,
and you
exactly.
get a
Because
stomach
it's
ache,
something, and a lot of times we as people don't listen to our gut,
yep.
but we are exactly where we're supposed to be. And sometimes people try to force it and not listen. And that's when things don't work out. And because it's a competitive market in the Catskills, right? A lot of houses get multiple offers. People get their feeling. I mean, this happened with the client that's closing this Friday. It was a house they loved. They were so emotional. I told them, I said, let's go with the flow. We're going to do our due diligence. We're going to do our job. But the house that is for you will be for you. And they ended up finding another house that they love more.
Of course.
And it's been a lot more smooth.
I
And
totally believe what's
private.
meant for you will
Yeah.
find you.
Yeah. So, and the thing is, too, houses, I mean, a lot of things happen inside of homes, right? And I feel that that's energy and all of that. And they have a vibe. I totally am on the same page with that. And I really, really tell people, let's listen to it. Stand in the house, sit down, look outside, stand on the porch. If you feel good, great. If you feel weird or kind of off, listen to that. And maybe this is not the house.
Yep.
Yeah. So speaking of vibe, and then that's the last thing I'll say about wallpaper is that when I moved into the house that I have, Jen, do you remember the wallpaper that I had in the dining room?
Yes.
It was this crazy, like French country kitchen
It was like
style.
kind of like a toile.
It was like, had these like reddish, rusty colored roosters on the wallpaper. It was so funky. And I loved it. It was not my style at all. It was not something that I would have chosen had I put up the wallpaper, but I just like it had such a funky, cool like feel to it. And of course, when we redid everything into the great room, my husband's like, yeah, first thing that's going are those damn roosters. And I was like, it was so great. It was so great. And it still is great. I love everything we've done. My husband has done an incredible job. He does some incredible work. But I will say, Matt, I know you are listening. I should have kept my roosters. That's all I'm going to say about that. Last time I mentioned the roosters.
Yeah, but props to Matt for the underfloor heating in the downstairs bathroom. Is that a trend you're seeing a lot, Craig? Because I am so here for the underfloor heating.
So it should be a trend because of how it gets really cold here. I will say I've only seen it so far in one house, and it was a passive home. And I think because it can, up the price a lot.
Yeah. Well, we've done a lot of improvements here, which, not like we're leaving anytime soon, but that's something that he's always like thinking about because of the, field that he's in. But yeah, we've got the underfloor heating in the kitchen too, which is like heaven in the winter when you walk into the kitchen.
And I will say a lot of the things that happen when people buy these historic farmhouses, they walk in and they think, oh, my budget is this. But people a lot of times don't realize how much a new heating system costs or new plumbing. And then by the time they get to the kitchen, their budget is blown. And if you have a septic and a well, forget about it, because installing a new septic tank. And that's one of the biggest things I tell people, because those can just eat your entire budget. So I would say that's why people don't have the underfloor heat as much, because they don't have any money left.
Right. And the only other reason we put it in the kitchen was because once we got rid of the walls and opened it up into a great room, there was no heating in the kitchen. So it was like we were only relying on the heat from the living room and the dining room. But with the underfloor heating, it actually, I had to dial it down. Like I'm in there cooking and I'm like, it is warm in here.
Literally.
Yeah. So it's been very efficient for that reason, because it helps heat the kitchen. But
that's cool. I wish I had that.
Yeah, it is very, very cool.
I had to really that was one of my biggest adjustments. So I lived in a city, and if you've ever been in an apartment in a city that has radiator heat that you can't control, you literally have to have your windows open in the wintertime, and you're wearing basically nothing, and you're still hot.
You got to put that pan of water on the radiator because it's so dry.
But then when you move up here, and if you have heating oil that is quite pricey to replace, and your windows are drafty and everything else, I invested in a lot more hoodies and socks.
I have Botini related trauma that I will never get over. I don't know if you know Botini, but it's the heating oil company.
That's who I use. Yeah,
everyone around here knows Botini.
They love sending you bills when you thought you paid for it.
No kidding.
And then last piece about my house is that I am happy to say, no disrespect to Botini or any of the other companies, but we are totally off oil because we switched over to geothermal, and it is the best thing we've ever done. That and the solar. We did solar and geothermal, and it has changed our lives. It's so efficient. It's so great. And I feel terrible for everyone getting those Central Hudson bills that are like thousands of dollars. And then we're getting like $20 just for the line. Like that's what we get from Central Hudson.
Oh yeah, that's really good. And that's a trend, not a design trend, but and the good thing about, I would say, New York State is a lot more progressive in terms of sustainable energy.
The incentives, the tax incentives are
exactly.
Very
so
helpful.
We got solar panels on our house, and then we got a huge tax, incentive this year. And the reason why I did it, because like I said, our house is less than 1,000 square feet, and we got a utility bill that was $400 or $500. And I said, wait a minute, this cannot be right. So I immediately Googled solar.
Yeah, they've been great. I mean, New York winters are a little tough and you don't produce as much, but overall we still export more than we import for energy. So
it's so cool because it feels like, we should be using all this sunshine.
Why not?
Correct. Yeah, if it was up to my husband, we would have that little cabin in the woods completely off the grid.
Off grid.
Yeah, like that's like his dream, is to like go get a little cabin in the woods and be completely self-sufficient and off grid. So, this is the compromise.
Really cool concept, and I'm glad that New York State is really pushing renewable energy sources, and it makes a difference.
Yeah, we had a great episode earlier on in season 1 with Sustainable Westchester and the stuff they're doing down there. And I know it's not just Westchester, but in general in the Hudson Valley, and there's some really great programs happening. So, okay, in addition to real estate, in addition to all of this, in addition to curating the coolest content. We love. Jen and I, like, honestly, in the beginning, we would like just send each other like, oh my God, have you seen this clip? We just love your Instagram. Curating great content for your social media. What else do you have going on? Like, I know you got some fun merch in your Etsy shop. What else do you have going on?
Okay, so we'll start there since you brought the fun merch. As you can see, I'm wearing one of
I
my
love it.
Oh,
hats.
nice. I love that.
And then so I have different, so it says Craig and a Catskill.
Cute.
And
Love
yeah,
that.
and then so I had beanies last fall, but I'm about to have some new ones. So this one was a Caro New York
Ooh.
beanie. But so the new ones that are coming out this fall, so imagine this beanie, but then with this logo on
Nice.
the front. So that'll be
Love it.
dropping this fall. Stay tuned for that.
I
So
imagine there's not a lot of, it's like when you grow up and your name is like unique and not a common name, and you can never find the little things at the souvenir shop with your name on it. I imagine there's not a lot of Caro merch.
there's not,
No.
and the thing about Caro that's interesting, they found like the oldest forest in, even though one of them is now it's the second oldest, but I think that New York State is most likely going to build a museum there at some
Nice.
point. So
There's
that
so many
merch
cool hidden gems like that.
telling
So
I
awesome.
told my mom, I said this Caro beanie that you have is going to mean a lot more in a few years. Just
Yeah.
wait.
Right. Value's going up.
Yeah,
I love that.
exactly. So, like I mentioned earlier, I'm in my sister's house, my sister Adria. I have three sisters, but this is one sister who I convinced to buy a house in Catskill.
Aw.
And she's a general contractor, but she was living in Texas when she bought her house, and now she lives in Tennessee. So I was basically her site manager, right? For because of the total gut renovation. It's a 200-year-old house that I'm in. And by doing that, I realized, I said, wait a minute, this is something that I could do. So our contractor, he owns the place, Forrester Contractors, based in Catskill. So I realized that, whoa, I can do this. And this is a service that people need. So we've teamed up, and now we work together where I do more of the work with the people, talk to the clients, and he can focus more on his work. Because contractors don't want to answer 500 phone calls because they're working, like they're doing their work. So I partner with him. And so, for example, say you buy a house and you need to do some renovation, you can call us. We're a whole team. We have the whole like list of vendors, every single thing, because this house, every single thing had to be changed. And there were some plumbers that we had to let go. So there was a lot of due diligence and things. So we have an entire team. And then another aspect of what I work on. So when I first moved here, I didn't really know anyone, right? And in the city, you can walk down the street and you see a lot of people. In areas like this, it can be a little more challenging sometimes because people can be more isolated if you're not right in the main towns. And when we got married in Las Vegas, but we had a weekend of events for family and friends in the city where we did like a scavenger hunt, a trivia night. We did a train ride to Cold Spring. And me and my husband basically curated this, right? And for example, I had relatives who had never been to New York, and we were on the train, we were on the subway, and everyone was happy. And I said, wait a minute, this was an event, and this was something that people enjoyed, and we're good at this. So we said, what can we do here? So we started trivia nights. And this was when I first moved up here. It was before it was like Craig and the Catskills. And I'm very thankful for the owners. It's a cafe in Catskill called City It. And Pim and Gert are the owners. And I pitched that to them, and they didn't know who I was. I didn't have like an Instagram with any I had like no followers. So they weren't based on that. And he just said yes. And it was really cool. So we started doing that, and and I like it because all aspects of the community come. It's people who've been in Catskill for their whole life. It's people who just moved in from the city. And I feel that a lot of events, it's either city people that are here for the weekend or local people, right? And they don't mix. So I was very happy that we curated events where everyone can feel comfortable coming to, because that's really what I'm about. I don't like things that separate people. I'm like, let's all come, let's all enjoy. Like you have like people brought their baby to our event. Great. He was so cute and everyone loved him. And I just love things that include everyone because we're humans and it makes it exciting and we learn from each other. Awesome. So those are the main three things. Real estate with number one, the property management, number two, event planning, number three. and
And do
not
you have
necessarily.
all of that connected through your Instagram, or like how
I
do people?
do.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm working on making it more. It's a work in progress because, for example, like real estate would be my number one, right? So that's more what you get. But what I'm working on now is laying out more further. For example, if you're coming to the Catskill with your girlfriend and you want a curated trip, I can help with that. So I'm in the process of making it more um, easier to find, I guess I would say.
We have got to introduce you to Matt Zucker, though,
I
from the
know.
City It podcast, because he has this vision of doing this tour bus that goes around through the Catskills
my
and goes
God.
to like the different farms. And we're talking about the cideries and stuff. And I think you guys would hit it off. We're gonna make an email introduction.
Yeah, we
appreciate
did a great crossover episode with him. So you got to go back, listen to the one that we interviewed him, and then the one he interviewed us. It's pretty hilarious. So,
Yeah.
and we talk about the tour bus, and it's pee your pants funny.
Because it's such an
So,
exciting region, and I have so many friends that come here. And I mean, just like for my this past weekend was my husband's birthday, and we had a dinner, and the food was catered, all from local companies,
Yeah.
and we did events. And I mean, this region has so much to offer, and everyone who comes and stays with us, and we do things, they just are blown away with like, wow, this is such an amazing place,
Yeah.
and it makes me excited to live here even more.
All right. So before we let you go, speaking of the local places, we ask everybody to tell us just kind of their Hudson Valley greatest hits, the places that you love. And it could be anything that you love, bookstores, hiking trails, coffee shops, local musicians, whatever. But you have to tell us at least one pizza, because we're obsessed with pizza and we ask everybody for a pizza recommendation.
Okay, so I'll start with pizza. And the reason why I love it is because I was kind of being kind of like a city elitist person at a moment, right? And it's in Cairo, and it's next to Hannaford. It's in a strip mall. And I told my husband, I said, that pizza can't be good. It's in this strip mall. And but I can walk to it from my house, right? So we'll put that into the description. It's called Mateo's. And the people that own it, and I think they have multiple locations. I believe it's one maybe in Kingston as well, but we're focusing on the Carroll one because I can walk there. They have pizza by the slice, or you can get a whole pie if you want. They're very friendly. It's one of those places where it's way better than what I thought it would be, and it's consistent, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I love. And I will say, growing up, I grew up in Georgia, and in the Northeast, pizza is just good here. I mean, it's hard to find bad pizza in New York, right? But there are some places that are exceptional. And this one, it's one of those things, like I say, with the feeling of the house, like the people that work there are wonderful. They're lovely. It's like hometown. And I would say Mateo's and Carroll. It's my
awesome.
I too have that strip mall bias, because when I first got to Texas and everything is a strip mall and there's like high-end steakhouses at the end of a strip mall, I'm like,
weird.
What? But yeah.
And they have outdoor seating with the view of the parking lot. I'm like, this is not cool.
No.
But some of them have really good food. So I had to let that go. Yep. And I've grown as a person. You know, the strip malls have good food. Yeah. So yeah. Oh, and I will say with my local businesses that I love, one, they have good services, but it's really about the owners. And when I say the owners, for example, when we first started our trivia nights, we talked to owners and say, hey, can you sponsor our event? And some people just said yes. And those people, their businesses are booming because they have an open energy and giving, and the community supports them because of that reason. So I'm going to start, and I wrote a list because these people are really important to me. So I already spoke on one, City It. It's a cafe. Well, it's a store that does lots of things. It's located on Main Street in Catskill, and they serve coffee, but it's not a coffee shop. They sell like, for example, a lot of my wardrobe is from their shop because they sell a lot of Catskill clothing and everything. They have events. For example, our trivia nights are always there. They have bingo night. They have an art gallery. So it's just like, it's a community event space in the village of Catskill. And they're just so open. They say yes. For example, 2 of my friends sell their merchandise in their store. And I just love people who just flow with it. Like, yes, let's work together. Let's all win.
That's the vibe. That's why you go to a small town, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's exactly why their business is good. So then we'll go to Carroll. So Red Star, if anyone I tell them I live in Carroll, they will say Red Star. It is a place that is a coffee shop. The owners are so nice, Kim and Shahin. And again, they opened a few months after we bought our house. And I remember telling Kim, I said, yeah, we bought our house because of your cafe. And she was like, when I saw you, I said, oh, you'll be one of my customers. So we instantly connected.
That's great.
And again, they've always supported everything that we've done. And it just means a lot. So everyone that comes in to visit us, we always have to go there. And they just have a community feel. Another one, Juice Branch, they have locations in Hudson, Catskill, and they just opened one in Carroll. And here's the thing. I told you I'm very frugal, right? Juices can be expensive, but I go so much. And it's mainly because the people that own it. Like I really just what they do, the feeling that you have. So I go in there and buy it. It's amazing what people can do. So I'll keep going down my list. Another one, like I said, my husband's birthday was this past weekend.
Oh, your husband's a Leo. Yeah.
Yeah, it was August 17th. So I got food catered. Calcutta Kitchen. It's an Indian restaurant.
Oh, yes. Calcutta's
So,
amazing.
I mean, that food, as one of the party participants said, this tastes like some home cooked food because they got it catered. And then if you go there, there's a Jamaican place right down the street from there on the same top taste. We also had that in the catering.
This is right by the high school in Kingston, Jen.
Correct. It's so good. You have to go. And then another place in Kingston where we got cupcakes is Sweet Mareza. It's on Wall Street.
Yep.
It's so good. So like that's so good. And then, again, it's all the food and everything's amazing, but it's really for me the owners because they're all so nice and supportive. And I'll message them and they'll respond. It's just amazing. All right. Catskill Chocolate Company again. So when I close, every closing that I have, I buy a gift set from Catskill Chocolate Company.
That's so
from
nice.
them. It's just kind of like a tradition that I have because I just feel like chocolate it's fun, it's easy, and it's supporting a local business. And they always wrap it up so nice so that every closing gift is from Catskill Chocolate Company.
That's so perfect.
And then clearly I like a lot of places, but I'll run through them. So there's a place near us. It's called Glen Falls, and it's a resort from the 1800s. And the owners, they have a place in Brooklyn, like a club, and they have this place. So I love it because it has a historic vibe, but it's also been renovated and updated and very cool. And they have a restaurant called Trotwood, very tasty. They host these really amazing parties through the summer where they have a pool party, they have the tavern, where they have a DJ, they have dancing outside, but also they have walking trails and they have all these waterfalls. So if you want to have a party to the morning, you can go there, but also you can just go and walk around and enjoy. And I just take my dog and I go sit and listen to the waterfalls, and it's so peaceful, and I just love it there. And another place, let me make sure I checked everything. Casa Susana at Camptown. It's a restaurant. I feel like they've been open for just over a year, but it got voted one of the best new restaurants in the country.
Wow.
Actually.
Wow.
Yes. Right. And again, I remember when they first opened, me and my husband came in, and they had like some issues with when places first open, right? It can be hard to get everything set up. And we went and we just loved it. And I wrote them a review, and I was like one of the first people to write a review. And I feel like they remember that because every time I go in and everyone I bring, like it's been curated so nicely, and just the service and the food is excellent. I will say if you go, make a reservation now because it's gotten so popular.
I bet they do remember because reviews mean a lot to small business owners. Hint, hint, if anybody out there wants to review a podcast, reviews are really meaningful.
Yeah, it makes a difference. And I love that when I go to these places, it feels like I'm going into a family's home. And that's the beauty of living in a smaller town. You really can connect with people, and I know all my neighbors, and back to your list again, because my brain is, as you can see, my list it can go on forever, but in interest of your podcast, time. But so from recreational standpoint, I'm obsessed with Catskill Falls, but not on the weekend. I go there like on a Monday or Tuesday because on the weekend I don't enjoy it. It's too crowded. I
Yes.
feel like people do risky behavior.
Yes.
It's cliffs and everything. But I go during that's why I'm grateful for living down the road from it, because I can go on a random Tuesday
Sure.
and have it by myself. I just think it's so beautiful. It's so peaceful. And I would say that's just one of my main reasons I enjoy here, because I work 7 days a week. I really am passionate about what I do. And I guess blame my parents. They really instilled a work ethic into me or something. But when I lived in the city, I worked all the time and it was a very high level of stress. But it was harder to get to a place where, for example, I drive and just go look at cows. Like I literally pulled on the side of the road the other day and just looked at the cows. And that's
I feel
therapeutic.
that.
Cows
I
are
love
very
That's
cows.
good for my
calming.
mental health.
Yes.
I didn't realize that I love cows until I lived
I
up
love
here.
cows.
For my birthday last year, I went to a dairy farm and
Yeah.
and went on a tour of the dairy farm. If you had told me that a few years ago when I lived in the city, that I would go to a dairy farm for my birthday, and that's the beauty and just the local farms, the gardens, the community centers. It's in the what do you call it? The farm stands where you can buy the fresh fruit and vegetables. And I just feel that I never realized how impactful nature can be on just your spirit, your mental health,
I
everything.
mean, that's the way humans evolved, and we live so artificially. When you live in the city, you don't realize how much you're missing out.
You're so
Also,
disconnected from it.
we love Catskill Falls too. It's glorious. But recently, maybe last week or 2 weeks ago, the Chronogram has an email newsletter that I get, and one of their lead stories was 7 great waterfalls that aren't Catskill. So that's worth checking out too, to just find some of those ones that are like a little bit more off the beaten path. Because like you said, going there on like a Saturday,
Yeah, I try not to
the
name them
question.
because I'm trying to keep them
Yeah.
secret. Sorry.
I know.
Well, because I'm like, I can, but yeah, there are, well, and so I'm really careful about that on my Instagram, because like everyone knows, and not saying that people shouldn't visit things, but we all know that sometimes things that are very magical can get over visited, and sometimes people,
It's
so
not
a lot of them are,
gatekeeping, it's conservation.
yeah. So,
I love that.
the
Yeah.
thing, what I've learned, what I'll do, if someone comments and they say, "Hey, where is this?" I ask them to message me, send me a direct message, because I really don't want to be the person that is like, okay, go to my secret spot, and then it's not, because it's people that have been enjoying these things for generations, and I really try to be respectful of that. But I also, if someone messages me, I'll say, hey, go to this, make sure, you take your trash with you and things like that, because I do think this is a beautiful region, and I do notice some parts where they are overvisited a bit, and people can not respect. So I always try to tell people, please, let's be respectful of nature, let's be respectful of the place, because I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah. No, that's incredible. Well, I love your entire list, and we are definitely going to be checking out some of those places for sure.
We'll do a whole blog of places Craig and the Catskills loves, because these places are definitely, if you want to email me any others that we didn't get to too, because we haven't talked about Catskill, the town of Catskill, very much, and we haven't talked about Caro at all. So especially some of these places that are up there in your neck of the woods that we haven't covered, these are great recommendations for us to share with everybody.
Yep. So Jen will get that in the newsletter, blog, we'll have all of that. Anything else? And Craig can be found on Instagram at Craig in the Catskills. And also, now we know, we can also find out about party planning and property management as well, which is really, really cool. This has been so much fun. Thank you so much for being here with us today and talking with us. And we could talk to you for hours. Obviously, we could just keep going on and on. So we hope we talk to you again very soon, but just thank you so much for being here and joining us today.
Thank you so much. And I'm very grateful for you all reaching out to me, because this is my first podcast. And it was always one of those things where I said, hey, I want to do that. But again, I just kind of flow with life. And when you all reached out to me, I was so excited, because it just really meant a lot. Instagram and everything, it can be hard. It can be challenging. It can be, you make a post and no one likes it, and it's the post you put. So it really touched me when you all reached out to me. So
You have been an
much.
exemplary podcast guest from the minute we
Yes.
invited you. So anybody who's looking for a great guest, hit up Craig and the Catskills.
That is so true. Yeah, we were like, this is it. This is the excitement. This is the energy we're looking for. So thank you
basically
so
said hell yes, and I said to Jenny, we're not inviting anybody who doesn't react like that from now on.
Yeah, because I don't even think I fully read the email. It just said podcast. I was like, yes. Because it was when you think about what you want to do and how you want to do things, and I was like, okay, I don't know how to create a podcast. I don't.
Neither
and
do
you
we.
all were like,
yeah. We're figuring it out as we go. Well, you are welcome back anytime because we just absolutely love talking to you. So
thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you to everyone for listening. Please like and subscribe, rate and review, because as we know, it all helps tremendously. Do you love the Valley Girls? Tell a friend. Have ideas for the podcast? Tell us. The easiest way to chat with us is our Facebook group, Valley Girls Podcast Pod Squad, or you can contact us through our website, valleygirlspodcast.com, where you can also sign up for our newsletter so you never miss a thing. And of course, we're on Instagram at Valley Girls Pod NY. We can't wait to hear from you. Oh, and do you love our theme music as much as we do? The music for this episode is by Robert Burke Warren, entitled Painting a Vast Blue Sky, and can be found on his album Red-Headed Friend, available on iTunes and Spotify, and at the link in the show notes. Bye for now.